It's our ticket to get out of here. A high-tech vaccine passport unlocking unrestricted travel around the world. Just how will it work?
This is the day we are all dreaming of, arriving at the airport with a bag packed and getting on a plane to actually go somewhere. Aside from being pretty exciting, there'll be something very different about your next trip. You'll need a vaccine passport. But what will that look like? Will it be in this? Will it be in this? Or will it be something different altogether?
The whole way we just went, is this actually happening? We just couldn't. The excitement was just palpable.
I live 2 minutes from the French border, so everyday life is travelling.
It feels like everyone else is already living the dream, including our own expats, Kylie and Georgie.
The doors opened, the heat hit our face. It was as if we'd never travelled in our entire life. It was just unbelievable.
And while it feels a world away for us, Prime Minister Scott Morrison is planning to get Aussies back on planes once 80% of us are fully vaccinated. And we're projected to hit that milestone in mid to late November. Minister for Tourism Dan Tehan has the unenviable, complex task of trying to make this happen with international vaccine passports.
It is a unique QR code that will link to your passport.
QR codes are second nature to us these days. Those small squares of black shapes are a way of storing information digitally, including, very soon, our vaccination status.
We know that it will work because it's been designed to fit that international standard.
Minister Tehan tells us the government is still working through whether that QR code will be stored in a phone app that we show in airports or in our physical passport chip, or both.
Ideally, what it would do is link to your passport. So when you show your passport, that will also show your proof of vaccination, but it'll depend on the different systems that each country has in place. And so there might be some instances where you are required to demonstrate on your phone your QR code.
Technology expert Charlie Brown says for this to work, it's inevitable apps will be involved.
So when you arrive in London or Los Angeles, you'll pull out your app. It will display your QR code that will be scanned at point of entry, just like when you're handing over your passport, and you'll be able to gain entry if you're fully vaxxed.
We need to work through the finer detail of that because we're still not clear around who's checking those vaccination passports, who's checking the digital procedure. Is that an agency? Is that an airline?
Laurie Argus is the head of aviation at Melbourne Airport, on the front line of a new phase in the pandemic.
The airport is certainly ready to implement any procedures that are possible that mean opening international travel. We know the checks have to be done. Having systems that at least talk to each other back and forth, or ideally a universal system, will be really important to the travellers.
The government doesn't have much time to play with, wanting the technology ready and in place by October.
It's why we sent the technology around the world to our overseas missions, to our overseas embassies this week.
There is a paper version that you can get as well, and it's going to be a good idea to get that just in case your real smartphone is actually stolen. It's going to be a backup for you.
As well as remembering your vaccine passport, there's every chance you'll also need to get a COVID-19 test before you board a plane here in Australia or once you land at your destination, meaning more logistics and costs for what will already be a very different journey. Heading to the US seems relatively straightforward. You simply have to get tested in the days after arriving, so long as you're fully vaccinated with a US-approved vaccine or one ticked off by the World Health Organization for emergency use. And therein lies the question, which vaccines will be universally recognised?
Here in Australia, it's the TGA that will ultimately make those final decisions.
The rules are just constantly changing, and you hear so many stories of people getting to the airport or even arriving in the country, and the rules have changed.
Australian Kylie Thurston lives in Geneva, Switzerland with her family, telling us she's desperate for a trip home, but just getting to France has its hurdles.
The drive, it's just an antigen test. You get the results in 15 minutes, and then you get a certificate with the QR code on it, and that's valid for 78 hours.
Come November, for Australians heading to the UK, you'll need to get tested before and after arriving. London-based Aussie Georgie Parrott wasn't fully vaccinated when she took a trip to Spain, explaining travel throughout Europe right now relies heavily on testing instead.
So for Spain, you had to download this particular app and then fill out some documentation to say that you had a test ready to go. So you needed to have a negative test before you fly, which is great because it means everyone on the plane is negative.
And COVID has brought one bit of good news for travellers. Our days of filling out that incoming passenger card are over. We'll now do it on our phones, which will also make contact tracing more efficient. All this technology, though, leaves a challenge ahead, making sure our personal information is safe.
Scammers are always trying to earn an income any way they can, and creating fake international vaccine passport apps is going to add to that list.
And from one of our own who's already enjoying the wonders of the world once again, this advice.
You'll be absolutely high-fiving yourself when you put your foot on a tarmac in a foreign country, so stick in there, guys.